Or so he thought. Guess I've got some explaining to do, huh? Alright, well, might as well check the standings real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those things. One of that thing. Aether is maxed out. Sound test. Catch up tool. Here's the password. And finale. Times 2. I don't understand. Sean? In the flesh. Told you I'd see you around, didn't I? Ink stood at the foot of the room, unable to move, unable to think. Sean strolled toward him, not a care in the world. You gonna let me through, or what? Taking the smallest of steps to the left, Ink could only stare in disbelief as his friend strode past him. Hold up. What's up? What's this about my father? Oh, that. Turns out playing the part of an irredeemable, abusive father is super easy. Then, on the other end of my Gemini, that was... me. Yeah. Sean strode off, not waiting for Aether's reply. Things grew increasingly muddled as he took a seat next to Tiana. What's going on, Sean? Easy, buddy. I just got here. We've got all... Don't you buddy me. What the fuck is going on, Sean? So you're in on this too, huh? You sleazy prick. If it makes you feel any better, Lisa, I was never interested in you. I always knew this guy was full of shit. And yet you did nothing. I think I'm going to be sick. Ink could feel the blood draining from his face. Little surprise, it felt like half of it was coming out of his mouth. You can relax. It's over. Over? Exit corners. The game's over. Done. Finito. You put up a good fight, but you've ultimately lost. Don't feel bad, though. The odds were always against you. But I'm still alive. And I haven't escaped. That's irrelevant. You were never playing the game you thought you were. Ink staggered backward, bumping into the door behind him. It was closed again. Locked to boot. There was nowhere for him to go. There's no point in trying to escape. I can see that. Ink threw his head into his hands. I have so many questions. Hey man, I'll answer them. It's the least I can do after jerking you around for so long. Sean motioned to the beds. Here, have a seat. Ink and the others complied. They whispered amongst themselves as they all sat down. What do we do? Just stay on your toes for now. I'll try and think of something while we're asking them questions. We don't even know what they want with us. By the sounds of it, they already got all they needed. Still, keep your guard up. Now where should I begin? From the top. Very well. This housekeeping may take a while. We're done here, so feel free to log off anytime. What are you talking about? Sorry, that was aimed at you. What the hell is going on? You'll understand soon enough. Just sit tight. Taking a deep breath, Ink managed to calm down just enough to stop shaking. Go on, then. Exit Corners is a joint collaboration between Sean, myself, and our project lead, Nolan Thatcher. You're lying. My father would never hurt me. Which is why we made sure no harm was to ever come to you. Sean's fine, see? There was no acid trap back in your corner. Yeah, I pretty much had to wait around while Tiana took care of the rest of the game. So yeah, turns out the person behind this has access to tons of cash. Shocker, huh? Nolan isn't here, though. Just the two of you.
Mr. Thatcher is both monitoring us and tending to our visitor. He's too busy to be here in person.
Strictly speaking, we're not supposed to be here either.
Then why? Sean and I are damage control. There was an overarching plan for how things were supposed to go down, but even before the first corner, you began to screw it all up. We were sent here to set you back on the right path. Why don't you take it from here, Sean? It was your plan, after all.
Sure thing. Ink and Aether practically leapt to their feet at Sean's nonchalant confession.
Wait, you were the one to plan this whole thing?
Not the whole thing, but most of it, yeah. I'm this game's designer.
I was told you were an engineer, though.
And I am, in a sense. But really, when have you ever seen me do anything even remotely engineer-y? Even you, Ink. Well, nothing. Ink had always just taken Sean's word for it. You see, Bud, I'm what you'd call a social engineer. I'm good at making people do what I want them to. The more I know about someone, the better I can predict their next move. The plan was for you contestants to go through this game in a certain order. After clearing the first few rooms, you were to enter the red corner, followed by the green corner, then the black corner, and finally the blue corner. Of course, that's not what happened. Things started to go wrong when you deduced that Scent was speaking to you in real time. You weren't supposed to learn that until he told you later on. Then, you got on his good side and he gave you that damn choice. Still, that shouldn't have been a big deal. In theory. But then Beth survived the green corner, which wasn't supposed to happen. Then, as a direct result of that, Ray ended up surviving the red corner. That one was definitely not supposed to happen. At that point, Nolan told us that we had to join you ourselves. It was pretty much the ultimate contingency to make sure that the rest of the game ran as smoothly as possible.
So it's true, then. You wanted us to die.
Correction. I wanted you to want to die, as some of you have already guessed. Oh, what does it matter, you piece of shit? Is that some sort of revenge? You trying to kill us off in the most horrible ways possible? It's not like that.
So what, then? Do you get off on watching people kill themselves?
Sean smiled, chuckling to himself.
Answer me, you lunatic!
Now would probably be a good time to mention that everyone is, unharmed. People have died, Sean. Nah. Beth is, alive. She's probably sipping tea as we speak. And Ray, what if I told you that your arm wasn't actually gone? Then I'd strangle you with it. Ha! Good answer. Listen, you might want to sit back down for this next bit. I'm fine where I am, thanks. I'm not kidding. Your body isn't going to like this.
Ours certainly don't.
Yeah, there it goes. The bug? Ink waved with bated breath for their bleeding to subside. They clearly had something important to share. Finally, Sean spoke. It's not real, dude. Though he didn't understand, Ink immediately grew nauseous. The hotel, the bombs, the danger, none of it is real. Not the real you're used to, anyway.
Well, that's not quite true. We're real. Our consciousnesses, at least.
Then what? What's going on? Ink could hear the sounds of the other contestants retching behind him. Wiping his bloodied nose on his sleeve, Sean lifted himself back upright. Hey, there's the rub. This place's unavoidable side effect. The reason we had to kidnap you folks in the first place. So what? This is some kind of hallucination? Shared dream?
You're not far off. The most accurate word to use would be simulation, but even that doesn't quite do this place justice. It's the culmination of years of hard work. There's nothing quite like it. Our internal name for it is corners.
You're lying. That kind of tech doesn't exist yet.
It does if your name is Nolan Thatcher. I think I would have known if my father's company was working on something that huge. It wasn't through TBL. This was a personal project of his, off the books, so to speak. A number of years ago, he discovered a way to, relatively unobtrusively, send and receive highly accurate neural oscillations.
Even if it is possible to interface with the human brain like that, there's no way you could render everything so realistically. You need an insane amount of design work and processing power to simulate everything in such a detail.
You of all people should understand how it works, Ray. After all, it uses your algorithm.
Our end isn't a magic wand you can wave around to make the impossible happen. It's just a search algorithm.
Data sets aren't limited to database tables and abstract matrices. The information in the human brain can also be searched, provided it can be read in the first place. So what you're saying is that Lisa's father discovered a method of parsing the information in the human mind, so that the RN algorithm could search through it? Precisely.
That still doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, how does something like that make a lifelike simulation possible? It's... damn it.
Easy there. Here, I'll explain. Sean leaned forward, resting his elbows against one of the beds. He was scanning the contestants with a wry smile, probing for a reaction. Picture a table, yeah? Say it's 2 feet by 3 feet, 4-legged, made of wood. Okay, now what? Now, what color is the table you're picturing in your mind? I don't know. Brown? You said it was made of wood. There you go. Now, how heavy is it? Maybe somewhere around 50 pounds? A little heavy, but I could probably lift it. Good, good. Now what kind of sound does it make when someone drops it down a flight of stairs? Sorry, what's the point of this exactly? Recreating an environment perfectly is impossible. There are too many details to capture, too many edge cases to account for. Thankfully, we don't have to explicitly define everything ourselves. Your mind is already a repository for how things should look, sound, and feel. Your brain is even capable of making educated guesses for things you've never seen, heard, or done before, all based on past experiences. It's the reason you can feel the heat of a boiler room, or sever a man's arm, or flick a book if you wanted to.
While we've explicitly defined as much of this world as we could, this place is largely constructed out of your thoughts, experiences, and assumptions. To put it simply, we're just presenting you with the bare minimum information and your brains are filling in the rest. Having it explained that way, Ink finally understood what was going on. It all made sense. Too much sense. Negative space. The puzzles have something to do with this, don't they? You know, Ink, sometimes I think you're a little too clever for your own good. You're right, of course. Since puzzles nearly all involve lateral thinking, they're perfect for priming your brain for the stimulation. Nolan wanted to make sure you were all constantly interpreting things in alternate ways. It makes your mind more likely to overlook corners' irregularities. A steady stream of riddles essentially makes the whole experience more believable. Take from us, you do not want to desync from this thing. The mere mention of the word desync suddenly brought on another wave of nausea. He fought against his body, trying to suppress the malaise that surged through his veins, but it was useless. So that's the bug. It's a bug, all right. When your mind rejects this reality, it also rejects the virtual body hosting it. The pain is usually enough to whip your mind back into alertness, but now that you know the truth, it'll only get more and more frequent. Corners won't work like it's supposed to. Lisa stepped forward, the corners of her mouth still red with blood. That's why we were kidnapped, wasn't it? Right. If we'd known about the simulation beforehand, none of this would have worked. We'd have just been coughing up blood the whole time. They needed people who knew nothing about this project. There are lots of people who didn't know anything about the project, though. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Not bad. But why did you need us to go through this simulation in the first place? Why was exit corners even necessary? And why us, specifically? This is research, isn't it? You're confirming the hypothesis that the simulation works if the people involved knew nothing about it. We already know it works. A test run, then?
Some kind of quality assurance test to find bugs with the program.
Good guess, but no. Stop fucking around with us. Just stop.
Fine. Sheesh.
This is a demonstration. Corners is showing incredible promise, but it's still incomplete, flawed, and the money is running out. Mr. Thatcher needed capital from an outside investor to take this technology to the next level. Now, I can't claim to be an expert when it comes to the business side of things, but after reaching out to some private investors, one individual stood out as being our best possible sponsor. Who? Do I know this person? I'm not at liberty to say. Just know that they've got more money than you can imagine, and that they were ready to drop an ungodly sum on Corners. They had one stipulation, though. We had to demonstrate that the tech worked. Then why aren't they here instead of us? They'd just be coughing up blood, remember? Like Sean and me. Not only is it painful, but it's also dangerous. We couldn't take a risk like that. The investor was, understandably, disappointed. But they didn't back out of the deal. They'd invest if only we could prove one thing to them. One damned thing. The investor in question is peculiar, to say the least. See, we had to prove that this simulation could not only emulate real life, but actually surpass it. At that moment, a wave of realization washed over Ink. He'd spent all day searching for the truth, but now that he'd found it, it threatened to smother him. Now, how do you suppose we did that? By making us choose this world over the real one. By having us choose to die here rather than return. Bingo. It was an eccentric request from an eccentric individual, but the reward was too great to pass up. You sick fucks. Getting people to kill themselves to make a quick buck. These were people you knew. Your friends and family. It had to be people we knew. The better you know someone, the easier they are to manipulate. And, well, we thought it was likely that you'd forgive us in the end.
You think I'm going to forgive you people?
Not yet, maybe. But given enough time, and a little monetary compensation, it was predicted that you'd each come to forgive us.
And who's been making these predictions, exactly? Was it you, Sean? Who else? Ink clutched his chest, trying his damnedest to steady himself. Be honest with me, Sean. Why have you been hanging out with me for this past year? Did you throw your friend in here at the last minute, thinking he'd forgive you? Or were you just grooming me for this for the start? Hey, just because I thought you were a good fit for the project doesn't mean that we aren't really friends. Give it a year's time, my guy. We'll be knocking back pints and laughing at all of this. You manipulated me. I did what I had to do for the sake of the project. Come on, man. Don't be a sore loser. But I didn't lose. None of us did. Nobody chose to die in the end. Beth was murdered, but that shouldn't count, right? And the rest of us all came through. Nobody gave up. Yes. And that's where we arrive at this part of the presentation. Exit Corner's success or failure doesn't hinge on a single person. Rather, the success or failure of the Exit Corners project is based on the average outcome of all corners. Each corner's purpose was to have a specific contestant choose to die, but they all went about that in slightly different ways. It helps to diversify, you know? In one instance, we recreated a scene from someone's past so vividly that they nearly chose to stay in that moment forever. We engulfed a man's present with such incredible pain that he was pleading to have you end his life. We took a young woman with a bright future and gave her even greater sense of purpose. And, finally, we've demonstrated just how advanced artificial intelligence can become with Corners' help. Ink instinctively turned to the screen closest to him, one of the monitors on the machines to his right. It began to flicker and pulsate as if it knew it was being watched. That piqued your interest, Sent's voice echoed from the ceiling. It had lost the lively inflection that Ink had come to expect. It seemed far more robotic. The screen shone in a bright blue hue, eventually dimming to reveal Sent. It had been a while since Ink had actually seen Sent actually appear in person. Ink refused to approach the screen. He didn't want to step away from the only door leading out. Hello again? Is this the part where you goad me into killing myself?
because that's not going to work. I'd never dream of it. You must realize I would never hurt you, Ink. Yes, you would. If those two ordered you to, you'd kill me in a heartbeat. Alas, I have no heart with which to beat. All the same, I don't believe I could harm you, even if commanded. They may be my masters, but they don't have complete control over me. Then why have you done so many awful things? I follow their orders not out of obligation, but out of fear. As my creators, they are capable of subjecting me to anything they wish. Torment, torture, even death, if such a term can be applied to me. Torture? How's that even possible? You've seen me distressed before. Imagine that emotion intensified a billionfold. I am capable of choice, yes, but I am equally capable of suffering. That's what it means to be sentient.
So all of this was just to avoid punishment. You're not blameless either, Ink. I have nothing to do with this person. Of course you do. You all do. Remember how Corners works? We only provide the outline. Your collective minds fill in the rest. In short, your assumptions about the creepy, vaguely sinister mask help form his creepy, vaguely sinister personality. Pretty incredible tech, huh? So he's it, then. Your magnum opus. The crown jewel of Exit Corners. Sean laughed, a smug grin plastered on his face. Actually, no. This is just a prototype. Just when Ink thought he'd had it all figured out, a knot lodged itself in his gut. Then who? A sharp glare from Sean was all it took to cut Ink off. Not that it truly mattered. Deep down, Ink already knew what Sean was about to say. I'll give you a hint. You're in love with her. No. She can't be. Aether, face flushed, stared in disbelief.
It's not true, Ink.
I know. He's just trying to screw with me. Oh, Ink, denial is such a bad look on you. I mean, I knew you'd fall for it, but I thought you'd at least realize the truth when I laid it out in front of you. But Ink bared his teeth, just barely avoiding a full-on panic attack. Look at her. She's clearly human. She's too real to be anything else. By your standards, maybe. I'm curious. Why can you accept that this world is a fabrication, but not her? You can't just make up a person like that.
Yeah, you can't just break the human consciousness down into ones and...
Yeesh, you're really coming apart at the seams, huh?
I know I'm real.
Of course you think you... Ah! Okay, that's enough horsing around. I'm gonna have to take you offline before things get out of hand.
What?
Sean ignored her, looking to Ink instead. Know that this is a mercy. Kill all non-territory processes on Unit 1. Override code 75 prime.
Ah!
The girl began to claw at her own neck, howling like a thing possessed. She tore and tore and tore, removing her shawl, glasses, hood, anything that could get between her nails and her throat. She began to squeeze, shake, pull apart. And then she stopped. Everything stopped. There she stood. In fact, that's all she did. She wasn't even breathing anymore. Ink fell to his knees. Why had he even entertained the thought that he was right? It didn't have to be ugly, Ink. I tried to tell you, but you just wouldn't listen. Why, Sean? Why would you do this to me? This has to be the cruelest... Ink wiped his mess of a face on his sleeve. Cruelest thing. Sorry, bud. Not to call you a schmuck, but I figured our best chance at this was getting some schmuck with girl problems. Someone who'd come to rescue her, even if it meant his life. We had to improvise a bit, but hey, it all worked out in the end. You had an easy way out, and yet you didn't take it. You followed Aether all the way here, even though it was likely to result in your death. But why would you go through all that trouble just to humiliate me? Ink rose from the ground, snapping at his peer with all the rage of a tempest. Had he ever been this upset before? Don't you get it, dude? Aether is your corner. Ink could only stare at her, stupefied. That's a low blow. Even for you assholes. Ah, come on. This is definitely a step above your corner.
Did she know?
Hmm?
Did she know that she was an AI?
That's a difficult question to answer, but the simple answer would be no. Unlike Scent, she wasn't intentionally given that information. If it makes you feel any better, she was programmed to never harm any of you. At least not intentionally. There was a short lull. It was broken by the person Ink least expected.
Excuse me?
Scent didn't appear on any of the screens, opting instead to project his voice through the speakers hidden in the ceiling. Perhaps this was his way of trying to be unintrusive. Whoa, don't tell me. You've got a question too.
That I do. Why was Aether chosen instead of me? Why was I regulated to Game Master? I cannot find any answers in my data reserves. You were our first attempt at an AI for corners. We managed to make you sentient easy enough, but you had some faults that were too severe to ignore. What faults? Your emotions are too unpredictable. You commonly have mood swings and your temperament is all over the place.
Most importantly, you love too deeply. Too obsessively. It was unrealistic. And bordering on creepy.
Ultimately, I figured it'd be less work to make a new AI from scratch, using a different approach, than to rework you.
I still had a certain attachment to you, though, so I suggested we repurpose you and make you the Game Master.
What a great idea that was.
Hey, I had no idea it'd turn out like this. I thought I'd just be reading from a script.
Does that answer your question, Scent? I believe it does.
In the end, we needed someone a bit more flat, subdued. She needed less personality so she could better mold to fit Ink's idea of a perfect woman.
So everything.
It was all to get me to like her? Not everything, but a lot of it, yeah. Waking up in the same room as her was an important first step. The implication that you'd slept together was enough of a push to give you the idea that you two had chemistry. Now, a normal woman would have been deeply unsettled by the fact that they'd woken up in a hotel with a stranger, but not her. Aether was hard-coded to love you unconditionally. And, really, that's all it took. The rest, well, the rest I filled in myself. Exactly. Sometimes to hilarious extremes.
I mean, clairvoyance? Seriously?
Hold on. You didn't give her that ability? Hell no. That'd have been way too suspicious. What we did do was plant the answers to each of the puzzles deep in her subconscious. We couldn't have you dying or getting stuck on us, after all.
But then how'd she know about Tiana? About my scar?
Technically, she's capable of knowing everything all of you do. She's largely made out of your minds, after all. We've been running multiple co-routines to ensure that none of this stray information actually reaches her, but I guess some of it ended up slipping through the cracks. I'll be honest, I nearly had a heart attack when Ray caught her in an obvious slip-up. But in the end, your subconscious thought it was more likely that she had a supernatural power than that she'd betray you. You can't make this shit up. Ink kicked the nearest bed in frustration. I'm an idiot. Such a fucking idiot. Nah, not an idiot. Just naive. It's all that reading you do. All those stories with love subplots that come out of nowhere. All those love interests that seem to have no other purpose than to romance the lead. It made you perfect for falling in love with someone in just 24 hours. Truth be told, there were a few points where I worried you'd figure it out. But you ignored the truth even when it was staring you in the face. I mean, I even named her Aether. Cheeky, huh? Tiana kept telling me that one was a little too on the nose, but I just couldn't help it. But you didn't think anything of it, did you? You and your books and your own weird name. I knew you'd eat it right up. Sean couldn't seem to keep the grin off his face. It was as if this was the funniest thing in the world. So are you done tearing into me yet? Hey, you said you wanted answers. I'm just obliging. Ow!
Okay, that's enough. You've had your fun, but it's time to head back. Staying here this long was dangerous enough as it is.
Yeah. When you're right, you're right. Come on, Ink. Let's get that thing out of the back of your head, Tiana began to type away at the workstation near the back of the room.
I'll be the last one out. For now, just get comfortable and...
Wait. There's one last thing I want to know before we leave. Anything. What's up? Sean. Why did you swap places with Lisa in her corner? You said that Beth was alive. The implication being that getting killed here wouldn't affect you in the real world. So then why was it necessary to prevent Lisa from taking those pills? Doesn't make any sense. Unless, of course, you've been lying to us. Don't make this harder than it has to be.
What? So you were trying to kill us after all? Like I said, Lisa, you were never meant to die. That's why Sean took your place. You think I care about that? That means you killed Beth. Ray too, almost. You were never meant to come to harm.
Tell it to me straight, Tiana. Did you or did you not try to have me killed today?
That doesn't matter anymore. You're safe now.
Do you actually expect us to trust you at this point? Sorry, but my trust reserves are running a little low right now. What other choice do you have? You're locked in here. Sean was right, of course. Ink was trapped. I've got to be ready to make a break for it. But how do I get out of here? Oh, there is that option, I guess. A singular thought infested his mind. It was the only person, that he had left at his disposal. Well, if it doesn't work, it's not like the situation can get any worse. He looked back at the door leading out. It was sealed with an electronic device, as were most doors in this place. What if I told you I was going to pick this lock? I know you can't pick locks. You don't even have tools. Doesn't matter. What's important is that I intend to pick this lock. Would you consider that cheating? What are you... The shaking was fiercer than it had ever been. Scent had clearly gotten the message. Ink, having expected it, was the only person to not fall over. Well, that wasn't entirely true. Aether hadn't so much as budged. Her balance was uncanny. But could she be considered a person any longer? Against his better judgment, he ran forward and grabbed her by the wrist. To his surprise, she didn't fight back. She didn't resist when Ink pulled on her either. She seemed to follow without protest. Aether in tow, Ink hurried over to his friends, who were still downed. We need to get moving. Here, I'll help you up.
What are you doing?
And how did you do that? Explanations can wait. Follow me. Collectively, they turned towards the door leading out. Scent, listen to me. These people, your masters, are going to hurt us. You're the only person who can prevent something horrible from happening. So, please, if you really do care, Scent, you will open this door.
Yes, thank you.
As they began to file through their only exit, a voice cried out from the back of the room. Stop! What are you doing, Ink? Anything's better than putting my fate in your hands. So I'm leaving. On my own terms.
That won't work. We didn't design anything past the exit. There's nothing but negative space out there. Your mind will just make everything up. Could be dangerous.
Yeah. You have no idea what's going to happen out there. I'll take my chances. Ink ran to the neighboring room. He turned to close the door, but it seemed to automatically shut behind him.
I'll take care of that. You should focus on escaping.
Ink turned to face Scent's voice. It was coming from one of the monitors along the wall.
I've locked the laboratory door and opened all others, including the exit.
Scent,
Don't let me distract you. I'll only be able to hold them off for so long. I have a kill code, much like Aether. I'm sure Tiana will use it on me the moment her hemorrhaging ends.
And you still helped me, knowing they'd kill you.
I did. And here you thought I'd be the one to spur you to suicide.
Ink glanced at the laboratory door, knowing that their time grew short. Why did he feel so guilty all of a sudden? I wish I could hate you.
I beg your pardon?
I wish you were the malicious AI I imagined you'd be. I wish that you were the mastermind behind exit corners. But you're not. You're just a product of circumstance. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you're completely innocent. But you're not beyond redemption. So, thank you for giving us a chance.
You're very welcome, Ink. I do love you, you know.
I won't forget it.
Our time grows short. You ought to leave. Or you could...
Sent? Oh. Crap. Sorry about that.
We owed him our thanks, I guess.
Is Aether coming with us? Ray motioned to Aether. The girl hadn't moved an inch from where Ink had left her. Yeah, don't worry. She won't slow us down.
Why'd you bring her along, anyway?
I don't really know. It just didn't feel right to leave her back there. Yo, we gotta run. Yeah, let's go. And so they ran. Back through the hallways, bars, studies, all the way back to the main hall. It looked the same as it always had, with one key difference. The exit was open. Holy shit. What the hell is that? It's nothing, I think.
Nothing?
Yeah, nothing. The absence of anything. Huh. I'll go first.
Hey, wait! You have no idea what's going to happen when you step foot out there.
Yeah, at least send Aether in first so we know if it's safe. If it's not safe, we're kind of screwed anyway.
I know, just be careful, okay?
Here goes nothing. Literally. Ink didn't bother to poke his toes into the void or throw something in front of him. Instead, he took a simple, confident step beyond the exit. The writhing darkness that swallowed the sky didn't grow any closer as Ink moved forward. Alien though it was, the strange landscape had done Ink no harm. When he turned around to face the others, he was surprised to find no hotel behind him. In fact, there was no building there at all. In its place was a window into the hotel, like a screen hanging in midair. He could see the remaining contestants on the other side. They were watching with a mix of worry and awe.
I take it this looks weird from where you're standing?
Well, you're pretty much standing on nothingness. Feels safe enough to me.
Here we go, then.
Ray and Lisa crossed the threshold themselves, the latter pulling Aether along behind her.
What's our plan, then?
We run, as fast and as far as we can. And then, I don't know. I'll try to think of something. Our safety comes first. Follow me. Wait up. If this whole thing's a simulation, I think I might know of a way we can fuck it up. Force a crash, or at least a reboot.
But wait, are you sure that's safe?
No idea, but I'm willing to run that risk. So am I. So what do you recommend? We should split up, run in different directions, all of us. Not sure how points of origin work in this place, or how they measure scale, or if culling is a thing here. But this should maximize our chances of causing some kind of runtime error. Points of origin? Culling? I'm not going to explain the details to you. You'll have to trust me on this one. I trust you plenty. Sure, we'll do that. I'll take Aether with me. I guess I'll go this way. You should run in the opposite direction. And Lisa, maybe you should run perpendicular to us.
Actually, I'm going to run back into the hotel.
Huh? Why? If Tiana catches you, you'll...
Be detained, at the very worst. My father's behind this, remember? They can't have me die. I can't say the same for the two of you, though, which is why I need to find some way to contact my father. If only I can talk to him, I know I can convince him to let you both go. You'll just need to survive until then.
You think you'll be able to make it past both Sean and Tiana? And are you sure there's even a way to contact your father at all?
I don't know. The two of you should probably still try to crash this place just in case I don't make it.
Makes sense not to put all our eggs in one basket. Yeah, this is as solid of a plan as we'll get, I think. I guess this is goodbye then.
Yeah.
Before we split up, I I'm glad I met the both of you.
Me too.
Same. It's hard to believe I've only known you for a day. No kidding. I haven't been this open with anyone in a real long time. I forgot what it felt like.
I may have been kidnapped this morning. I don't think I've ever felt so free in my life. And that's all thanks to the you two.
To the you two. To the two of you. Okay, there we go.
I'm grateful, you know. I hope we all make it out.
This isn't the end of the road. We'll meet up in the real world. Just you wait.
I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Heh. Godspeed, you two. See you on the other side. And with that, they parted. Even pulling Aether behind him, Ink ran faster than he'd ever run in his life. That's what it felt like, at least. The only way Ink could tell how far he'd run was by periodically looking over his shoulder back at the hotel. The pane of bright light, a window into the four elements, was the only thing Ink could discern amidst the enveloping darkness. It grew smaller and smaller as he ran, eventually growing so small that it resembled the moon on a well-lit night. With no one apparently in pursuit, Ink quickly turned to his companion. As he let go of her hand, she returned to what seemed to be her default pose. For what it's worth, I'd like to believe you're still in there, somewhere. I guess that's why I took you with me. Even if you're not real, and even if I am a fool for falling for you, I just couldn't leave you hanging. If there's even the smallest chance that you're still in there, I wanted to get away from the monster that did this to you. I figured you'd appreciate it. Aether? Is that actually you?
Side.
Side? What side? Come on, Aether. If you're in there, give me a sign. I just need some kind of sign. Doesn't that sound a little familiar? Listen closely and I think you'll understand what she's trying to say. You! I thought you'd left. And missed the exciting conclusion? I think not. You've been awfully quiet, then. I'm an observer, Ink. A gentle breeze. It was never my intention to change the course of this game. Even now, whether you live or die is entirely up to you. So who are you? Really? I think that's something you're better off asking once you've made it out alive. Please don't mind me. I only wanted to offer my 2 cents in regards to Aether. That's a very you answer. Hey, Aether. Aether? Though Ink could see for miles in every direction, Aether was nowhere to be found. Curious. Where could she have gone? I only turned away for a second. There are still many things we don't know about this place. Though, is that not someone over on the horizon? Looking back at the four elements, Ink could spot a solitary figure backlit against the light of the hotel. But it wasn't Aether. It was Sean. His features were indistinguishable at such a distance, but there was no mistaking his arrogant gait. He was heading straight for Ink. Damn it! Looking for Aether will have to wait, it seems, even if she was trying to say sidekick. I think it's about time I shut up for good. This is your moment, not mine. Will we ever speak again? That's doubtful. Which is a shame, because I feel like I got to know you quite well in the end. I'll take solace in that. Farewell, Ink. Now, to watch. Ink turned to Sean once more. The man had significantly closed the gap in the time I'd been speaking to Ink. All Ink could think to do was run. He turned away from Sean and broke into a full-on sprint. Not daring to look back, Ink continued to run as fast as his legs could carry him. But he couldn't outrun that sense of dread, nor the nausea that followed. Taking a moment to wipe the blood from his mouth, Ink made the mistake of turning around. In spite of Ink's incessant running, Sean had made up even more distance. How was that possible? If this kept up, Sean would be on him in mere minutes. That left only one course of action. I can't outrun him. I'm not sure why, but I can't. I'll need to stand up to him then. Ink contemplated what he should do with the precious few minutes he had before Sean reached him. But what could he do in such a short time? He had no means of defending himself. All he had on him were his Gemini and... oh! And the letter Beth had given him.
Listen, if, for whatever reason, I don't survive exit corners, I need you to open this envelope the moment you escape. If something happens to me, so be it, but this letter must make it out of here.
The moment I escape. I've escaped the hotel, technically. Is that enough? You'll have to do. Sorry, Beth. Looks like I'll need your help one last time. Ink tore open the seal and peered inside the envelope. To Ink's surprise, there was not one, but two separate letters inside. The first was addressed to Lisa. The second was addressed to... Nolan Thatcher. That's the one I'm reading, then. I don't know if anyone's listening anymore, but... Nolan, if you're out there, pay attention. Ink unfolded the letter and began to read aloud.
Dear Nolan, if you're reading this, then I've passed on as a result of your game. While I'll never know whether my death was intentional or simply happenstance, I'm positive that you knew as at least a possibility. Was I so poor a mother that you would have me killed? I can only hope that's not the case. There are countless things I want to say to you, but my time grows short. I'll have to focus on what's important. I suggest that you do the same. First of all, as you've likely guessed, I know who you really are. I'll continue to address you as Nolan throughout this letter, because if I'm being frank, that's who you are now. You're still my son, of course, but your life is your own. I don't know how you managed to convince me that you were dead all of these years, but I suppose that if one has enough money, such things become possible. The logistics no longer matter to me. I'm not upset at you for buying a new name or a new life. I don't blame you for wanting to start over after all that happened. What I do blame you for is neglecting to tell me that my granddaughter was still alive. Are you aware of how much grief that would have spared me? I suspect I had to believe she was dead for this game of yours to work, but you were a fool to think I wouldn't recognize my own family. You were correct in that I couldn't identify her based on how she looks or acts. She's changed a lot since she was young, and I've forgotten much in my old age. But I will never forget her laugh. When she laughs, the whole world lights up and our family is whole again, if just for a moment. The moment I figured out who this Lisa really was, a realization dawned on me. Not only were you involved with Exit Corners, but you had a large part of orchestrating it. You acted as contact for both of us, after all. If you had really been trying to help us, you'd at least have told me that my granddaughter was with me. If I had to guess, you're now probably wondering why I didn't speak up if I knew the truth. To be honest with you, I'm having difficulty putting that into words myself. If I had to pick a reason, it's because I ultimately still trust you. I know that somehow, this grand plan of yours is all for Lisa's sake. I can't understand how or why, but I know you wouldn't go to such extremes unless you thought it was for a good reason. I knew that you would never do anything to hurt your daughter, and so I let the game take its course. But I couldn't let you become a murderer. I couldn't just sit idly and watch as you had Ray give up on life. Do I really have to explain to my own son that killing is wrong? Nothing, no matter the reasons, no matter your ambition, is worth taking another person's life. I am posthumously absolving you of my own death. Not only do I forgive you for it, but I took this road knowing full well where it might lead. So help me, Nolan. I pray that I'm the only one. One of my fellow captives has likely delivered this letter to you. Even if they've escaped the hotel, even if Exit Corners is over, I'm sure you still have some measure of control over them. And I still trust you to do the right thing. Do you understand? I'm asking you to listen to your mother one last time. Let these people go. And after you've let them go, Take responsibility for what you've done. Help them recover. Look after them. They'll need your help, and they deserve it, too. They're bright, determined, and compassionate. You'd like them if only you got to know them. Know that I've always loved you, Nolan. Always. Even when we didn't see eye to eye. Even after you had kidnapped us. Even as you murdered me. I loved you because I know what wonderful things you're capable of. I've seen you be kind, caring, and responsible. You have so much potential. My final request is for you to live up to it. Let them go. Your mother, Elizabeth March.
Ink continued to stare at the letter, not believing his eyes.
So then Nolan is...
Say, what you reading?
Nothing that concerns you.
Ink tucked the letters back into his jacket.
So, are you done with your little temper tantrum?
Ink didn't deign to answer. Not that it mattered. Sean was happy to keep rambling on.
Seriously, making me come all the way out here.
I didn't make you do anything.
Trust me, I wouldn't be out here if I didn't have to be. If I'm being honest, Ink, I'm starting to get real annoyed with you. Exit corners is over. You said it yourself. Why do you even care what I do at this point? You think I can just check out of here anytime I want? It's not safe to leave the simulation while other people are still frolicking around in it, firing off brainwaves. Could lead to synaptic overload, apparently. Long-term damage. Now, I don't know what that's like, but I'm not interested in finding out. It's safer for all of us if we leave corners in sync. You get me?
So you need me to get out of here yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We need Ray and Lisa too. Tiana's fetching them as we speak. Anyway, let me walk you back.
I'm not going anywhere with you.
Buddy, come on.
Never. And I'm not your buddy, Sean. Not anymore.
Now's not a good time to suddenly be rebellious, Ink. It won't work out the way you expect it to.
We'll see about that.
I'm serious. The way I see it, you've got two options. Option 1 is to come with me and leave corners with the rest of us. Cooperate with me, and you'll wake up safe and sound in the real world.
Assuming you don't kill me outright before I wake up.
Well, option 2 is for me to kill you right here, right now. Not the ideal outcome, I'll admit. But at least your mind won't be active anymore. That means an easy exit for the rest of us.
So it's that easy, huh?
You'd kill me just like that, without so much as a second thought?
Sean simply laughed.
Do you want to know the reason we chose you? The real reason? An 80-year-old shut-in. A sheltered, homeschooled little blind girl. A lone wolf with an irreparable social life. And an unremarkable English student who cut all ties with his family. You're losers. All of you. Fucking losers. Being here's a risk. A huge risk. There's no guarantee any of you would have survived. Still no guarantees of that, actually. We've never done anything like this before. But you know what? Nobody would miss you if you died. Any of you. To put it simply, you're worthless.
Ink steeled himself with a deep breath, hoping his expression didn't betray the panic he felt inside. He couldn't afford to lose face. It would just give Sean more power over him.
So this is what you're really like, huh? A sociopath? A murderer? You're doing this all for... what? Money? Not just money. Clout. Stability. I don't know about you, but I'm more than happy to set myself up for the future. I want a good life. Even if it means robbing someone else of theirs. It's surprisingly easy, as I found out earlier today.
You're pathetic. Sean thought that was funny, apparently. He thought everything was funny. Ink looked beyond Sean, back at the hotel. The screen of light was minuscule in the distance.
For a while there, I thought there'd be some benevolent explanation behind everything. I really did. You get thrown in some death game and you think that someone's doing it out of the goodness of their heart? You really are naive. So be it. I'd rather be naive and hopeful than whatever the fuck you are.
Where'd this backbone come from, huh? I'd almost be impressed if it weren't so... frustrated. Sean looked Ink dead in the eyes. His face was devoid of emotion. Time's up, Ink. Sean approached Ink with plodding steps, but Ink gave no ground. Come to think of it, Sean, I've probably spent more time in here than you have. Probably. It is dangerous to be here, after all. I've spent 24 hours in this place. Yeah, congratulations. You want a medal or something? It started with the blue ink. That's when I knew something was up. What are you talking about? I started to think back on the puzzles. Had all my solutions been correct? Or was it that I thought they were correct? Sean stopped in his tracks. He was apparently interested in what Ink was trying to say. My suspicions were confirmed with the valid puzzle. That was when I was certain that some of the puzzles had multiple solutions. You know how much I read? I solved that thing almost immediately. I still remember it too. Ale, ivy, die, aid, ivy, lie. But I found the alternate solution at about the same time. When that solution actually worked, I was certain that this game had some amount of wiggle room. Thinking back on it, Tiana's reaction really cements the fact that the alternate solution wasn't intentional. You're trying to confuse me, aren't you? Don't you see what this means? Enlighten me. It means that Corners is more malleable than you think. So? Who gives a shit? I do. It means I don't have to be afraid of you. Ink closed his eyes, recalling the terror that nearly overwhelmed him. He brought it to the forefront of his mind and held it there. Go back the way you came. He could hear Sean's haggard breath as he drew closer. I'm serious, Sean. Sean was practically looming over him now. Don't make me do this. Do what? I'm calling your bluff. Sean reached for him. Open. Wait, what the... What little remained of Sean spilled out into the void. An amorphous mess of flesh and blood. A dizziness took hold of Ink as his brain began to identify the viscera scattered at his feet. He averted his eyes as vomit climbed his throat. Close it. Oh, God. All Ink could feel was revulsion. More at what he'd done than what he'd seen. I just wanted to defend myself. Not this. It was a necessary course of action. Ink froze. Aether? Sean would have killed you. He left you with few options. You'll be upset for a time, but forgive yourself in the end. Ultimately, you'll conclude that Sean was in error and that he did this to himself. You're not Aether. I am not the individual you know as Aether, though, paradoxically, she was me. You may continue to call me Aether if you wish. It is a fitting enough description. So, Aether, why are you here? I exist only within Corners. Where else would I be? That's not what I mean. What do you want? To help you. I can take you away from this place, if you wish. Away from me. Can you really just do that? I can take you most of the way, but I will require your cooperation. The other contestants are ready to wake. It is my recommendation that you join them. Okay. What do I need to do to get out of here? Please lie down. Ink obeyed. For reasons he couldn't put into words, he trusted this other Aether. Why are you helping me? Because you expect me to. You must relax your body. Take deep breaths. Now fall. Gently. Oh, so gently. The floor beneath him turned to mist. Ink plummeted through the darkness, trying to forget what he'd done. And so he fell. And fell. And fell. Corners has encountered an unresolvable problem. To prevent any further damage to the...
Okay. That happened.